Hi, this is Regeline Sabat, also known as Gigi, and you're listening to Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Heleniq Argyrou. Heleniq is a global visionary and speaker. Welcome to the show, Heleniq.
Hi, Gigi. Lovely to be here. Hi, everyone.
Likewise, it's an honor to have you here today. Now, why don't you start off by telling us more about you and where you are from?
So, I live in this island on top of Egypt, just underneath Turkey. It's a Greek island called Cyprus. It's 10,000 BC. I was born in Zimbabwe and grew up in South Africa and then moved here a few years back. And I'm a clinical psychologist, a peak performance strategist, and I run a movement called Women of Truth and a website called Helen.
I love it. Now, talk to us more about your companies.
Yeah, so a few years back, I became very fascinated by my discovery in meditation and in neuroscience about how we can really activate these very interesting pathways in the brain and we can have these aha moments. And there was an ancient Greek guy called, I forget what he was called, but he was the guy that said, Eureka, I found it. And really, this is where the idea of aha came in English. And it really was interesting for me to realize at the time that there are very specific moments in our lives that become powerful insight moments where we have this aha discovery, amazing moment. And these are the foundation for personal growth work. When you realize something about yourself or about the world or about a deeper truth, you have a piece of magic in your hands, a universal truth. And this is what I built my first website on at the time. It was called High Intelligence, and now have built it again into this personal growth, leadership, and peak performance service-based business, which means that I coach people and I support them to build a strategy, a life plan, a career plan, or to leverage their careers, get the visibility and elevation they need to really become the best version of themselves. And this is based a lot on the acronym AHA, which is to attract, to harmonize, and to arrive in these very special places in one's life. Women of Truth is a movement that we started in 2015 here on the island of Cyprus as a conference to elevate global female leaders is our mission now. Back then, we really presented community leaders to the Cypriot audience, but now we've gone online and international to work with many women from around the world who are established in health, well-being, or wellness. And we put their work out to a wider audience, and we talk much more deeply about the hardcore truth of what it means to be a woman in these modern times and how to mix that in with our spiritual legacy and our feminine mysteries, which for many women, they have been cut off from that information. So Women of Truth is a project that's worked for years to develop more and more substance for the research we see about what women struggle with, but then to check it out in the events to see, is that really true? Are women talking about things that they really struggle with? So that's Women of Truth. And now we do a very special project with 20 health leaders every year, and we put them online to talk about amazing things that women need to realize now for divine feminine leadership.
I love it. Now, tell us more about your book, Woman of Truth.
So the last 3 years, I became really fascinated, Gigi, about the women empowerment movement. We all know there's so many groups around now where women go, they gather, they are doing incredible things. And with that came a lot of research about what women need, what women are struggling with, the differences between men and women, gender equality, etc. And I decided I wanted to actually go and find out for myself if some of this was true or if it was all true, and decided to interview about 100 women, and I've been putting that into a book, all the data to reflect on what the theory says. What are the struggles women have when they tap into their power, and what stops them from speaking their personal truth? What are the lies that we are telling ourselves? What's the biggest lie women believe, and what is the truth? That's a chapter in the book. And we deal a lot then with the future of women and personal power and divine femininity, which has become such a trend in the world now. And I go into quite a deep analysis on what does it mean to be a leader for the future if you're a woman, and how are you going to express your divinity into the work you do and into the world? How will you actually do that? And so the book gives a lot of suggestions for that.
Very powerful. Now, talk to us a little bit more about the challenges that you've had to overcome in your life.
Yeah, interestingly enough, one of the questions I asked many women too, and I think it's an important one because there are so many moments, I think, that are challenging in life, and finding the ones that really catalyze something profound is so amazing. For me, I remember it was when I realized I was not going to be a dancer. I danced 5 different styles of dancing as a child. And I remember being very passionate and expressive. And at some point in my teens, I got clearly from my teacher that I wouldn't have a kind of professional career as a dancer. And it was like a huge dream of my entire life popped in a matter of seconds and came crashing down to the floor. And I didn't know what I was going to do because I'd invested so much in this way of expressing myself. And so I realized at the same time I was needing to find where I wanted to present myself or pour myself into in my future career. What was I going to drive for or strive for? And it was at the same time that I learned a little bit about the surrealists in the art school classes that I was having at the time. And I remember looking at some of the paintings by a man called Salvador Dali. If any of you have seen, he warps time and he draws and paints these incredible scenes that were supposed to be from the unconscious. So it was a time where psychology and psychoanalysis became very popular. And I realized looking at those paintings that there's a kind of part to reality that's way deeper than what we perceive it to be, that there's more to this world, there's more to reality than we realize. And I think at the time it was the biggest moment of truth for me, where I realized that the adults are not telling us all of these deeper layers to life, that somehow they keep it to themselves or they don't talk about it, or maybe there's something they themselves are still trying to work out. And I discovered in that moment the really important next passion for my life was to go really deep to the bottom of the iceberg and to be able to study that and investigate that and understand life, understand the meaning of life. And it was coming out of, I think, that pain of realizing that initial dream was not going to happen. So I had to invent the next one. And that's what I did, invented the next one, and then became a psychologist.
Amen. Very powerful and inspiring. Now, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
Purpose, I think, is one of the most important things. There's so many people through time that have shown us that meaning is one of the most important things we need to have and walk with in life, is a sense of meaning. And it's very different for different people. You know, for someone, really being valuable to their community gives them meaning in life. For someone, their accomplishments, their achievements reflect back to them the power that they have, and in ways that teaches them about the meaning of life, the possibility that life can actually give you. And we've got lots of different examples of how meaning shows up at different times in our lives in different ways. So I think having a purpose is one very important way to keep reinforcing your meaning in the world. And your sense of meaning comes from how purposeful you feel you are. Happiness, I think, is a choice, and it's taken me a long time to understand how to work with happiness and how to balance my own life through all the very powerful, intense feelings that we can feel in one life. As a therapist, you get to witness so many deep emotions in people, and you work in the world of emotions. So happiness is a very special guest that comes to visit every now and again for tea. But sometimes if you don't invite that guest to come, it won't come. And so learning how to make the best part of tea when happiness arrives is very, very important. And learning how to respect the absence of that guest is also very, very important. And so I think if we want to walk with purpose, we need to find what gives us the biggest sense of meaning. And you can find that in what you do best or what you enjoy most. The words of Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss, I think is very important. And I teach a lot of the deeper neuroscience on that, because there are very specific trigger points for it. And then the second thing for happiness, if we want to walk with happiness, let us be finding the happiness in every single moment. And you can do that with a gratitude list. You have to train your brain to perceive what is good, because the brain will sink into the vacuum of what is missing or what is not right easily, especially when you have pain and suffering, and a lot of it even more. So very important to get your attitude. People talk about that now as mindset, but as you've heard, I'm a clinician, and we were working with various aspects to mindset that are not really encapsulated in the word mindset. There's a lot of deeper layers to having an attitude that works for life, and positioning your thoughts a certain way and changing your perception. So it's not just about mind, it's also about your heart and your head and heart coherence. How do you get your feeling and your thinking to come together so that you have a choice to be happy available to you?
I love it. Now, Timothy has joined us. Welcome, Timothy. And it says mindset, and also, which you covered. And then also he says, edit self-limiting language, use proven NLP principles. And also the strength of one's convictions and the value of their vision must be their exclusive focus.
Excellent. I love what you're saying, Timothy, because the words vision are so important, because they program the mind to use inner sight to imagine. And I think imagination, as even Einstein said, is way superior to knowledge, and it gets us way further than logic and rationality. So we have very, very powerful skills in our brain. And we also use NLP principles, like you say as well here, to clean up the mind and to get out of the problem and to start thinking what could be a solution. These are very important skills to learn. And I think we all should become teachers of the future. If you're going to teach in a school in the future, please, please, please start telling the principal to find a way to teach kids how to do that. Because the younger we are and we practice this way of keeping our mind healthy, the better off we'll be as adults, for sure.
Absolutely amazing. And I love what you said there. NIP principles clear up the mind. Very powerful. And Timothy does say thank you there. And so, Heleniq, where can the audience find you?
There are many ways for us to connect online. We have a platform on Facebook for Helen Aha, and it's actually a business page called Helen A with a dot. So Helen and then just a capital A. And I do most of my events, lives, and broadcasting from that page. There are many other pages I had through the years that you can check out, but really the website is the best. It's www.helenaha.com. Very soon, I might be setting up a new community platform on Twitter where you can, not Twitter, on Telegram, where you can actually connect up with different projects and programs that are happening and have more of a chat kind of service with me. And then also LinkedIn is pretty active when it comes to the leadership chamber type work that I'm doing, where we are actually putting very erudite leaders into a think tank, and we have a chance to talk about the changing face of leadership nowadays and to build leadership for the future. So if you are running an organization, or you have a company, or you have a movement, even if you have an NGO, we have some special spots for you to join us. And we post a lot of that on LinkedIn, and you'll see some of it also on my Facebook pages as well. And if you're a woman, really, we are looking to elevate global female leaders, and we want women's wisdom to go out into the world, out to the masses, and we're doing everything we can to support that. So you can find Women of Truth Yin. It's a Facebook group. You can jump onto that group, answer a few questions. One is enough, or all three, and come in there, promote your business free on Fridays. You can get visibility tips and get special offers from our community there to really leverage your business and build your lead generation. Very exciting.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Heleniq on all of her social media platforms, and also her website, helenaha.com. And Helen, again, thank you for being a guest on Walk With Me podcast. You have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Gigi. Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.